Dan Murphy.
And once again, welcome for another edition of Candlepin Skins. We're at Pilgrim Lanes here in Haverhill, Massachusetts. I'm Doug Brown along with Dan Murphy. So glad you could be with us. Well, nothing's changed much in the last few weeks. Tom Morgan is still here. John Lang is still here, but they've got two new challengers ready to go today.
That's right. A little test for Tom last week. He needed a big game the last game instead of opening up a big lead. He came from behind. He's back with us, and so isn't John Lang.
All right, let's meet our four bowlers. First of all, our two returnees. They've been bowling together now this last 4 weeks in a row. Tom Morgan from Revere, Massachusetts, and from Rockland, Mass, John Lang.
That's right. Tom going for his 12th week in a row. 128 is his average, and John Lang going for his 4th in a row at 120.
Tom already having shattered the previous record of 9 weeks in a row. He's now extended it to 12 in a row. Now, the two guys who will be joining Tom and John come from a roll-off held in the Cape Cod area. From Plymouth, Massachusetts, Steve Avini, and from Norton, Mass, Bob Kenyon.
Okay, Steve comes in averaging 114, and Bob Kenyon comes in averaging 115.
All right, now, as always, a little bit different here on Candlepin Skins. If you're relatively new to the program, we do have total pinfall. We have only 2 games in the hour instead of 3 because we have 4 bowlers competing individually. Now, the way it works is this. The 4 bowlers compete 1 box at a time. Each box has a dollar value assigned to it. That's the skin. Now, the high scorer in each box wins that dollar amount. But if there is a tie for the high box in a particular box, then the money carries over to the next box, increasing the jackpot. So after this carryovers, eventually somebody will win the skin. That's how you win money. But the way you come back every week is to finish higher in total pinfall. Of our 4 bowlers, the top 2 in total pinfall will return the following week. The first 3 boxes of each game are worth $20. The next 3 are worth $25. Boxes 7, 8, and 9 worth $30 each. And the 10th box in each of our 2 games worth $75. And we've had some big carryovers the last couple of weeks. We had one carryover for $195 last week.
That's what I like to see. The bigger the carryover, the better for us, because we don't sweat at all. It's those 4 bowlers.
All right, we've got 4 bowlers anxious and ready to go. We will get it started on Candlepin Skins after these words. Don't go away.
Candlepin Skins is brought to you in part by Tri-State Megabucks. And now with Mega Cash. Choose your dream.
Happy holidays, everybody, from all of us here at Candlepin Skins. The roll-off from the Cape Cod area held at Timber Lanes in Abington, Mass. Steve Avini topping the list with a 648. Bob Kenyon also qualifying for the show with a 634. And the guys who just missed it, numbers 3 through 5 on that list, Phil Clough, Chris Welch, Sam D'Agostino, and on down the list it went. But Bob and Steve are here, and they are ready to get this match underway. Bob Kenyon to throw first.
Well, 2-4, 6-10 for Bob to shoot at. And Steve has a spread eagle. And he made it!
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. That's a pretty good way to start.
What a debut.
Bob Kenyon settles for an 8 box. The spread eagle for a spare for Steve Avini.
Goes in the 2-4, and something comes off the wall and flies into the 6-10 and finally the 3-pin. Regardless of what else happens today, Steve will remember that.
Here's Tom Morgan. And look at that, an extra pin or 2, setting up a possible spare. I think Tom would be the first one to admit, Dan, as he puts a spare up. I think Tom would be the first one to admit that over this now 12-week stretch, Tom has had some bad games, but he just has never had 2 bad games the same week.
That's right.
For instance, his first game last week was a 103. His second game the week before was a 109. But he had 2 great games paired with each of those. A 165 and then last week a 157, and that brought him out of the deficit. Spares for Tom and Steve, creating the carryover. So the second box will be worth $40. And on that rather spectacular spread eagle spare, Steve Avini fills 6.
And for Bob, half was to right. Steve is going to shoot at the 3, 5, 6, and 10. Piece of wood behind the 5-pin. Trying to make it 2 in a row. No.
Wow, that was a pretty good ball for Bob Kenyon trying to solve the half Worcester, and he didn't get many. Steve takes 8.
I think Bob would be happy with 8 with what he's shooting at here at the end. It's just 6. So just an 8 box up there for the carryover skin from the first box.
John Lang averaging 143 in his last 3 weeks.
And he'll shoot at the 3 and 5. Tom Morgan filling a spare.
And he will take 9. Again, it looked like it could have been a split. Turns out to be a great leave. There's a spare for John. Now Tom will try to create the carryover, and he does.
So 2 boxes and 2 carryovers. So that makes the third box worth $60.
Again, for those of you who may be new to the program or newer to the program, the fill on the mark has nothing to do with the skin. So the fact that there were 2 spares, that creates the carryover.
Oh boy, the 1 and the 9.
Steve Avini will shoot at the diamond.
And that being the 2, 4, 5, 8.
Well, that was a great second shot for Bob Kenyon with that leave. Spare it up on the diamond for Steve Avini. It's interesting as we go along through the years here on Candlepin Bowling here on the Winds of New England, as you look at Steve Avini's spare conversion on the diamond. We often talk about the occupations and employers of a lot of the different bowlers, but Steve Avini is a first today. Steve Avini is a dentist, and I'm pretty sure he's the first dentist we've ever had on the air.
Tom Morgan fills his spare with a half dozen and make it 1 better for John Lang. Oh, we need this for a carryover, or it's going to be Steve's.
There it is. Spares again for the 3rd box in a row, creating a carryover. And that means the 4th box will be worth $85. And Steve Avini about to fill a mark. We're going to try real hard to avoid any dentist jokes. We promise.
Well,
I'm sure he's heard them all anyway.
Oh, almost a strike by Bob. Bob Kenyon for his first mark.
Yes, getting by that first piece of wood. And that was a lob. It doesn't cost Steve anything. It's an 8 box anyway. John Mazzetti making the call. Cindy Sissom working the big scoreboard here at Pilgrim Lanes in Haverhill. John Mazzetti on the lob line and the deadwood line from the Massachusetts Bowling Association, who co-produce Candlepin Skins. And John Lang with his 3rd mark in a row, strike on spare. Maybe good enough for the skin unless Tom matches it. And he does not. So give the $85 skin to John Lang. And he takes the lead in the match as well. Tom Morgan has another mark. Here's the strike, the first one of the day. And it's good enough to win the first skin of the day.
And a pretty good skin it was at $85.
So the 5th box now worth $25. And Bob Kenyon on his spare fill. He'll take 6.
Missing the object pin, the head pin.
And so did Steve. A reminder, Candlepin Skins is brought to you in part by Tri-State Megabucks. And now with Mega Cash, choose your dream. Tri-State Megabucks. A 10 for Bob for a 49, a 7 for Steve for 54. see Tom Morgan and John Lang working on marks, and that's been a very common occurrence over the last few weeks.
Well, Tom will fill the spare with 7. Now John Lang on the strike. Remember, only a 10 box is up there for the skin.
2 triangles.
Yeah, John threw a pin in between the 2, 5, and 4.
Tom converts his. John needs this one to create the carryover.
And also to go 4 marks in a row. Tough piece of wood out in front, though. I don't know if he's going to carry the 5 pin and possibly the 2.
Oh, great effort. But give the skin to Tom Morgan for $25. It's a 9 fill on the strike for John Lang, and he's at 75 through 5. That's good enough for first place at the moment, but Tom Morgan is working on a spare, which could give him the lead in the match. Close scores so far. We're just underway here on Candlepin Skins. We'll be back. Don't go away.
Candlepin Skins is brought to you in part by Rockingham Toyota Dodge Nissan.
Here's Steve Avini throwing the first ball of the 6th box.
That looked like a pretty good hit in the 1-2 pocket, but everything flew up and over that cluster 5 in the corner. Bob Kenyon, a little better mixing action, but another tough leave.
Chuckling because Bob has the full body English working, trying to get the wood to move and the pins to fall over, and let's see if this wood sets up well for him. Wow, I thought maybe the 10 pin would be the problem.
A good effort there. Crowd gives him a round of applause. Appreciates the effort.
Oh, yes, nice 10 box for Steve Avini. Bob takes 9. That's 10 box by Steve Avini worth another look.
He just drills those 4 pins. Carries the 7 pin.
Oh, now see, you're really breaking my promise here.
I just slipped out.
You didn't take the pledge.
No, I didn't. I just slipped out.
I'm going to have to ask you to rinse now. There's a strike for John Lang. And that close for Tom. So give that $25 skin to John Lang. Meanwhile, Tom Morgan bidding for his 3rd straight mark and 5th in 6 boxes. And he's got it. Here's the John Lang strike.
Just stripping the 6 pin. We've seen that a number of times.
See, John and Tom have won all the skins so far. $30 skin now here in the 7th. Bob Kenyon. Ooh, chopping out just the 3 and the 6. Don't see that very often.
And 2, 4, 5, 7 for Steve.
Boy, good second ball. Bob Kenyon, he's made a couple of great runs at difficult spares and just missed. Oh, look out. That one got away. 7 box. Steve Avini takes 10. Tom Morgan about to throw on a spare here. 5 spares in the first 6 boxes. Missed the head pin that time, just 5. Now John Lang filling a strike. Looking for the double.
Oh boy, that close.
Got a little tickle on the 5 pin, but not enough to knock it over. Spare for John Lang on strike, and an 8 box for Tom Morgan. John Lang moves 1 pin ahead of Tom Morgan in total pinfall, plus the fill on the spare, and that spare good for a $30 skin for John Lang. Steve Avini punches right through the heart. Pin still falling for Bob Kenyon. He'll have a spare leave.
4-7. A couple pieces of wood out in front. They might want to avoid the front one.
Oh, got it. Bob throws the ball pretty hard. He was able to drive that right back.
Yeah, drove it through both pieces. 8 box for Steve.
Place after the first game had to come from behind in a dramatic catch of Dave Driscoll to get second place. This week, Tom is off to a fast start, as is John Lang. But John really has been incredibly consistent in the 4 weeks that he's been here.
Just keeps attacking those pins. Looks like he's throwing the same speed all the time. This time he's got the 5 and 7, but the way the wood's situated, he's got a real good chance of making this.
Oh, yes.
Just got enough of it.
That creates a carryover with the spares. And Tom Morgan takes 10, his second open frame in a row. 3 marks in a row, second time this game for John Lang.
I thought he had to catch a little more of that piece of wood to the left, but just got enough of it to clear out the 7 pin.
John Lang's worst game in the 4 weeks he's been here has been 125. That was his worst game, and his average is 120.
Oh,
how about that?
He's been really consistent then with between 20 and 50.
Spare it up for Steve Avini. He converts the 4 horsemen. Bob Kenyon has to take an 8.
Gives him 89. Let's take a look at Steve's spare, 4 horsemen. Just splits the 1 and the 2 and right down the line for the 4-7 and the spare.
Third mark of the game for Dr. Steve. Tom Morgan now in the 9th. A high hit that time, full on the head pin.
4, 7, and 10 for Tom.
Oh
John
boy. Lang. That's 4 marks in a row for John, and that's a $60 skin in the 9th.
Took the skin away from Steve.
We talked about John Lang's worst game being 125. He may have his best game in this one. His best game so far was the 162 that he threw in the opener last week. And he may go sailing by that. John's got $200 in skins money already.
Yeah, Tom has taken 1 skin and John has got all the rest so far. Good effort on the 6, 7, 10 for Steve. That's a 7 drop on the spare. Bob will try to convert the 7 and 8.
No. So Bob's going to be under 100 for game 1. Steve Avini will be at 109. And it will be 98 for Bob Kenyon.
John will go first, working on a string of 4 marks. 7 in all in this string, and he's working on a strike. Gets a big break off the head pin, leaves just a 7 and 9.
You saw the total cash that John has won in the last 3 weeks. He's already got 200 this week, as I mentioned.
And he's just going to drive these 2 pieces of wood straight back, and hopefully he'll clear out the 7 and 9. Go spare on strike.
Wow. That's 5 marks in a row. He's at 163 plus a ball.
And that'll give him the skin also in the 10th. The 9th. Yeah, 10th.
Yep. And it also does give him his best game in the 4 weeks he's been here. So that's $275 now for John. Tom Morgan finishes with a 6 box at 130, but he will have a 21 pin lead over Steve Avini for second place. There should be a fine hand here for John Lang after he fills this spare. He gets 6 and a 169 for John Lang to start this game, start this match. He is in first place. Tom Morgan second. Steve Avini in third. Bob Kenyon fourth. We've got a game to go and a lot more money to give away here on Candlepin Skins. Don't go anywhere. Well, I guess we shouldn't be surprised that with a 169 opening game, John Lang took the bulk of the skins money, 9 of the 10 available, with Tom Morgan getting the other one by virtue of a spare in the 5th box. Bob and Steve have yet to get on the board, and they will certainly be trying to do so, not only for the cash purposes, but also for the pinfall purposes here in game 2, as Steve and Bob are running 3rd and 4th in that race as well.
Half Worcester left for Steve, right for Steve. Bob trying to convert that cluster of 7 or 8 pins. Bob finishes with 8, and it's 8 for Steve as well.
As always, we tape Candlepin Skins here in our new home, Pilgrim Lanes in Haverhill, Massachusetts. And whether you come here to do bowling on your own, whether it's in league play or open play, keep in mind right next door, Romano's Pizza and Subs. Great food, great prices, huge subs, huge
Sandwiches, yeah, overstuffed sandwiches, unbelievable.
That's Romano's Pizza and Subs right here on Primrose Street in Haverhill, Mass.
You know they must be good because some of the crew cannot finish those.
I've noticed that. That is remarkable.
And
yes.
John starts with another strike.
And another skin, as he'll take that $20 skin to start the second game.
It was a little slower than we're accustomed with John, but the result is the same, and it's a $20 skin. Steve just leaving that ball short. Looks like he wants that ball to break a little bit from right to left. It doesn't seem to be doing that. Bob puts one, I thought, in the pocket, but he gets a weird leave of 2, 4, 8, 9, and 10.
Oh, great spare for Steve Avini.
You got it. Great spare. 1, 2, 4, and 9 pins.
Let's see if Bob can come up with one here. Nope.
Well, he hit the object pin. You need to be a little right or left of that 2 pin, and might have had a shot at it.
Well, turns out it goes down for the 10. Let's take a look at that spare by Steve Avini.
1, 2, 4, and there goes the 9.
Hey, don't forget, big weekend here on the Winds. Candlepin bowling action tomorrow at noon on Candlepin Stars and Strikes. Dave Arsenault goes for the sweep. Had 2 great stories going here, or 3 great stories. John Lang, Tom Morgan, and Dave Arsenault the last few weeks. Wow. Ooh, ouch.
That's
Tom Morgan with just 2 on his spare.
Not the conventional 2, the 1 and the 8.
Oh, John does not convert. And
but Tom does.
Oh, my. Oh. That would have taken the money away from Steve Avini, but gives Steve his first skin of the day worth $20. John takes a 10 box, and Tom settles for 9. So Steve is on the board with his first skin. As I started to say, tomorrow at noon, Candlepin Stars and Strikes, Dave Arsenault goes for the 4-match sweep. Trying to come up from the number 5 spot, he will face Chris Grimes in a series championship match, and Bob Kenyon explodes for a strike, his first. Oh, and Steve hits the head pin, but gets just 3 on his spare.
1, 2, and 8. How do you do that?
Wow.
It's amazing. Oh, what a spare. Come on. Look at the 7 pin. He actually pushed that into the channel. That has to be hanging on the edge of the lane.
Wow. But instead it'll be a 10. Loses the advantage of the spare, though, with the 3 fill. Here's the strike for Bob Kenyon. Big pocket hit that time. Tom Morgan has a strike, and that takes some money out of Bob Kenyon's pocket. John Lang with a rare error.
I think Tom said, I'm sorry, but I only get 2 of those a day. Well, that's an out-and-out lie, isn't it?
He was apologizing to Bob for taking the money away. A 7 for John Lang. John is still comfortably in first place, however. All right, that was a very full hit on the head pin for Tom Morgan. So this is a carryover. $45 skin here in the fourth. Wow.
Similar lead that he just had, minus the 9-pin in the back.
Bob Kenyon on a strike.
Bidding for 2 in a row, 2 strikes. Shoot at the 3, 5, 6, and 10 for a spare.
No. 7 on the strike. And a 6 box for Steve Avini. Nine for Bob Kenyon. Well, Tom Morgan is in second place, but it's not real comfortable yet. As you can see, he's got 161. He is working on a strike here, though. And he's opposite open frames for both Bob and Steve. John Lang built up a huge advantage in that first game with his 169. Tom on the strike. And he may have a shot at a spare here. There's Johns. Oh, Tom does not get his. So that gives the skin $45 to John Lang as he continues to rack up the prize money. John Lang has won 12 of the 14 skins to this point. He's up to $340. Boy, Bob Kenyon, when he throws the ball in the pocket, really throws an explosive ball.
Everything but the 8-pin. Piece of wood just nestled next to on the left-hand side of that 8-pin. He wants to try to avoid capping it. Steve Avini leaves the 1, 7, and 9. Watch out.
Oops. Let's see if Steve Avini can convert this now. Yes.
Oh, yes. Great shot.
Perfect. And a 10 box for Bob Kenyon.
Take a look at Steve's, the 1, 7, and 9.
Tom Morgan with a split. Now John Lang to fill his spare. Uh-oh.
Oh, the 1 and the 9.
Seen several of those today. Oh, Tom almost made it. He thought he had made it. Looks like Steve Avini is about to get another skin. Oh, watch out, though. That close. John almost stole it. Give it to Steve Avini, though, for $25. Tom Morgan takes his 10 box. And John will have to settle for a 9. John still with a comfortable lead. We will take a break right here. 226 for John Lang with 5 boxes to go. Again, the cumulative 2-game totals at the bottom. So you see Tom Morgan still in second place, but it's not over yet. Steve Avini working on a spare when we come back. Don't go away. We are back, and Steve Avini
Working on a spare. Good looking ball. Needs the extra pin.
More importantly, he needed a spare lead because he and Bob are trying to somehow catch Tom Morgan for second place. It looks like John Lang is pretty much uncatchable at this point. A tough shot for Steve, and he pulled it too far to the left. Wanted to try the cut shot, the 2 into the 6. Bob Kenyon gets his spare, however. Bob Kenyon has not won a skin yet, but he's leading in this one right now, a $25 skin here in the 6th.
Had one taken away from him by Tom Morgan back in the 3rd.
In that first position, you have a lot of people taking money away from you. John Lang gets 2 extra pins.
Well, Bob just kind of takes a deep sigh, and these guys are getting the extra pin.
I dare say we're probably headed for a carryover. There it is. John Lang on the 610. And just for good measure, Tom makes his 610 also. So the 7th box will be worth $55. And Tom Morgan now stretching out his advantage over Steve Avini and Bob Kenyon for second place. A little backward roll for Bob. He'll take 8 on his spare.
And decent drop of 8 for Steve Avini, leaving himself the 1 and the 3.
Chance for 2 in a row for Bob. It'd be his first time today with back-to-back marks.
Oh,
and
boy,
incredibly, it doesn't go. Wow.
My, oh my.
Steve gets his. And Bob has to settle for a 9 box. So Steve's spare leads for this skin, worth $55. Tom Morgan and John Lang, each working on spares. If Tom Morgan can hold on to second place here, he'll be back next week for his 13th week in a row. Remarkable. And I know some of you might be thinking, well, 2 guys advance out of 4, but you have to remember it's 4 people competing. This is the same as having 2 people compete and 1 coming back.
That's right.
It's the same odds, and you don't see many individuals win in singles competition, say 12 or 13 weeks in a row. And that's what Tom is in the process of doing here.
8 on Tom's spare, just 2 on John's.
But John can spare it, no pun intended. Or maybe it was intended. Because John's got a big lead in this match. He works it out for a 10.
Gives Steve Avini the skin in the 7th.
It does indeed with the spare. There's the 110 for John Lang for his 10 bucks. Steve Avini now at $100 in skins. Bob Kenyon has yet to get on the board. Oh, big. Well, I thought it was going to be a strike. Instead, it's a rocking 4-pin. 9 drop on the spare for Steve.
Making one last rush at Tom Morgan.
And Bob Kenyon has a strike. Boy, he really yelled at that pin.
Was that him? I know somebody
I think
did.
so. I think so. Apparently, if you yell real loud, it works.
Oh.
2 spares in a row for Steve Avini. Well, Bob is just desperate to get his first skin.
I don't blame him. I don't blame him.
This is a $30 skin here in the 8th.
Had a strike, as you see, the 3rd was taken away by Tom. Had a spare in the 6th, taken away from both by Tom and John. And now he's got a strike up in the 8th. Well, 1 down.
You were thinking the same thing I was.
was.
Tom was going to take it away.
And he'll turn around and apologize for doing it.
But Bob gets his first skin for $30. Well, let's check the total scores here. Tom Morgan 2 open boxes in a row now, and Steve Avini with 2 spares in a row, and this could get interesting again still for second place. Tom's got to wait here as John Mazzetti is going to clear both a loose ball and a loose pin from our TV pair. And Tom gets a 10 box, a 7 for John Lang. So John is still in pretty good shape. He's got a 28 pin lead even over second place. But look at Tom Morgan at 227. The other 2 guys both have marks up.
If Bob with a throw a second strike right here, then you can count him in the mix as well.
$30 skin here in the 9th, and Bob is off target. Steve Avini working on a spare. He took a little extra time. This is an important ball for him.
Light hit, but let's see. Got a spare leave. Not an easy one, but the 3 and the 10. Bob was shooting at the 1, 2, 7, 8. Missed that object pin, being the head pin. Steve's just got to concentrate on grabbing the 3.
Yes. Oh, yes. 3 in a row. Fine shot for Steve Avini. Well, Tom Morgan is going to have to fend off another challenge here, it appears. Here's the spare, 3rd in a row for Steve Avini.
Just catches enough to the 3 to the sidewall. Almost came in front of the 10, but enough to catch it. As Doug said, 3 marks in a row.
If Tom goes open here in the 9th, it could get very interesting in the 10th. And he's got a split. Oh, just one pin for John Lang, but he's pretty safe at this point. Tom does not get the mark.
Well, you would think he would have carried the 10 pin. Good recovery by John. So Tom is open, a 16 pin advantage over Steve Arvini, but Steve's got the spare working.
So you never know. If Steve puts another mark up here in the 10th and Tom is unable to mark, he could get caught.
He needs a big fill and definitely another mark.
By the way, the spare for Steve Avini gets him a $30 skin in that 9th box. And the last skin of the day will be worth $75.
Pulled a
Steve
little
is off target.
That fill could hurt even if he makes the spare.
Yeah, he needed a big fill. Steve checking the scoreboard. He knows he's got to make this to have any chance at all, and he slides by. Bob Kenyon gets a spare in the 10th. Leading for the skin at the moment. Steve Avini with an 8 of 124 and a 2-game total of 233. And that makes it official. Tom Morgan has, well, not a spare leave.
All of a sudden, I think Tom and the rest of the crew will be rooting for John.
And he's got it. And that creates the carryover.
Oh,
Ooh,
Tom almost made that.
Tom finishes his total pinfall for the day at 246. That will be second place. John Lang, if he gets 5 or more, we'll wait and see if he does it. Oh, he got 5 or more. That's a strike on spare. John Lang has been in the 280s for 4 weeks in a row for 2 games. Here's that strike. It took a while.
And we got to still settle that last skin in the 10th.
Everybody in it, all 4 bowlers for the first extra box. Then if there's a carryover, only the guys who carry over will continue.
Oh, wow, what is that? This is in the 1-3 pocket, and you got the 1, 3, and 6, I believe. Well, this could be a big...
And Bob. John Lang already has $340 on the day. So he could go over 400 if he wins this last skin.
Well, Tom's got a spare leave. Watch
wait
out,
a minute,
watch
wait a minute,
out.
wait a minute.
Watch out.
Tom is just shameless. You know, he wants every break. He has a lot of fun with the crowd here, too. And, of course, he's gotten to know everybody personally over the last several months. Well, 2 spare leaves here. Ooh, Tom almost missed that one. And he takes it from the crowd. So we'll see if John can stay alive here.
No.
Nope, missed it. Tom Morgan gets the last skin of the day. And now he is not on the bottom of the money-winning list for today. John Lang and Tom Morgan have just done what Eric Young and Tom Morgan had done the previous 4 weeks. They've advanced 4 weeks in a row together. Remarkable. We will be back to check the numbers and talk to the bowlers when we come back. In first place for the 3rd week in a row with a 285. Tom Morgan gets into second at 246. Steve Avini put on a nice challenge there at the end, and so did Bob Kenyon with 3 marks in the last 5 boxes. As for the money situation, well, John Lang had that big 169 opening game, And because of that, he got most of that $340 in that first game. Steve Avini comes in second in the prize money with 130. Tom Morgan for 100. Bob Kenyon checks in too. But, Dan, I got to go over these scores for a second. We're going to talk to John in a moment. But the 4 weeks that he's been here, these have been his scores for 2 games. 287, 286, 284, 285. That's pretty consistent.
Yeah, it's I don't. Why is he doing that?
It's almost boring. It's so consistent.
Right. Well, let's start talking about him. Leave Morgan alone. Morgan has been here long enough. We'll start talking about John Lang and his streak, because Tommy seems to be runner-up now. He's really slipped.
He's a career runner-up now. Well, let's talk to the runner-up first. Tom Morgan, come on up here. As Tom has done it again, he has survived a couple of real battles for second place here. But boy, you're just having guys run all over the place. I guess you kind of forget about John. He gets off to that big start.
Well, that's what it is. He runs away in highs, and the 3 of us battling out for second every week. He wonders why I'm so tired. He keeps saying, hey, Tom, you're doing all right. He keeps saying to me. I said, yeah, I'm doing all right. You're 280. I'm over here killing myself. And he takes all the money, too. But he's happy. That's all right. You're doing okay, Tom. Thanks, John.
You're keeping everybody happy. That's
right. He's doing great. He's throwing the ball awesome. Well, I mean, he's averaging, like I say, 143. Every time he gets up there, he throws a bit of a strike. If I get on that alley and throw a strike, it's the only time he squeezes the ball a little bit. That's why we were laughing at the last box. And I'll throw him. I know you'll squeeze it. I threw a 9-drop. He almost threw the strike.
Well, I'll tell you what. We talked about this during the show. People think, well, there's 2 guys coming back. It's a lot easier to come back. But remember, it's the same as if there were 2 bowlers with 1 guy coming back. It's the same odds.
Yeah.
And that makes this streak of yours just really remarkable.
It's just tough. I mean, everyone that's comes on the show can beat you, so it always goes down to the last couple boxes. I've been fortunate for a while. I mean, that streak's going to end someday. I just hope not too soon.
Well, I know you'll have a Merry Christmas, and we'll see you for week number 13 next week.
Sounds great. Thanks.
All right, Tom. Thanks very much. Congratulations. And now a big round of applause for that first game. That's got to make you feel comfortable, though. Yes. You get off to that big lead, and then you don't really have to. There was a box. I don't remember which box it was. Maybe it was the 8th box of that second game. You chopped out 1 or 2 pins. You don't really have to worry about it too much.
No, you're in cruise there. Let those guys fight for it. That's all. Let them go at it.
Well, it'll be week number 13 for Tom next week, but it'll be week number 5 for you. So you're catching up.
He's still staying ahead of me 1 a week. That's all right. I'll stay with him.
All right, John. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Nice bowling. Great job. And our congratulations also to Steve Avini and Bob Kenyon. We've had some great challengers to these 2 guys these last 4 weeks, but they've kept it going. It's ironic that during this stretch, Tom hooked up first with Eric Young for 4 weeks in a row. Now he's hooked up with John Lang for 4 weeks in a row.
That's right. You never know. With Bob and Steve, another mark at a crucial situation or a crucial point in the match could have turned around, and one of them could have been coming back. So you never know.
Next Saturday, it'll be week number 13 for Mr. Morgan, week number 5 for Mr. Lang. We hope you join us for that. But don't forget, tomorrow at noon on Candlepin Stars and Strikes over at Park Place Lanes in Windham, New Hampshire. Little excitement there, too, as I see Chris Grimes. We hope you can join us for that match tomorrow. Until then, for Dan Murphy and the whole crew, I'm Doug